what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate forum, which you should definitely all join. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Flatzoid, 10th Man, Ranty Flat Earth, Paul and Chocolate Saiyan. Nobody in Discord yet, but feel free to join the public link if you're watching live. Hello, one and all.
Hello.
Oh. Good afternoon.
Mic check. Mic check. Am I coming through okay?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're fine, Paul.
For making sure.
No, it's all good. I'll just have another quick check on the Discord server to see if anybody's joined, and if not, we'll rattle off the housekeeping questions. They'll be quick if there's nobody else. No, there's nobody here, so I'll do them. No worries. Any signs of Earth curvature?
Nope.
Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
There is none, but I would like to make a comment about ball busters at some point about the argument that was being made and the proof of it.
You go ahead, specifically in direct relation to axial rotation, so go ahead.
Well, I was just noticing, as I was listening to it with Zanuck, he was definitely double speaking all over the place, for one. And I did do a little research on my own about the fictitious force, or I think that whatever the term was for that. And he actually, every argument he was trying to make for all that, he was actually proving our point the more he'd talk about it. Because even if it's a fictitious force, which basically like inertia in a vehicle, when you make the turn, it's that force that seems to push you against the wall. That's still inertia, and there's still force that involved in getting you moving to begin with. So, but that still makes our point for us. That's all I was going to say is like that inertial reference frame is the crux of the argument. If the Earth is moving out from under us and there's any kind of movement, there is Coriolis effect, and
Sorry, Paul, just one small non-inertial reference frame. It's very confusing. The rotating Earth in that instance is the non-inertial reference frame. The inertial reference frame is, if you're talking about a bullet flying through off a roundabout, then the inertial reference frame is the frame of reference that your projectile's traveling through.
Right, that's what I mean. If I'm confusing the terms, I apologize. But yeah, but every point he would make, like I was on the Discord kind of trying to chat with him, and he said basically it's the same thing as a curveball, and I go, wait a minute, no, that is actual deviation, their deflection, the ball curving is actually occurring. It's not a non-occurring event. If that makes any sense, it's not an apparent. It truly is curving.
Yeah, it was the ultimate draw, man.
It's an actual deflection of the ball. If you throw a curveball, you've got to put spin on it to make it curve. Well, it's actually curving to try and avoid the batter in a baseball game. That's the whole point of curving the ball. An actual deflection. Well, that's not Coriolis. Coriolis, right. The ball travels in a straight line. You rotate on the non-inertial reference frame, and it appears not actual to deviate. It appears to, i.e. isn't. It's travelling in a straight line. So a pseudo force, non-force, a not actual force.
Now, I do have a question. This is a question because I watched something on the Coriolis effect too, and this maybe just helped me understand a little bit better, because there was a roundabout example, where the person was throwing the ball in one sense, like they were throwing a soccer ball and it deflected, or supposedly deflected. But then there was a time where they took a baseball on the actual roundabout itself, which that was in contact with the roundabout, and when they rolled the ball, it would make a loop back to the person that threw it. And they're saying that's the same thing. And I'm trying to wrap my brain around what could be occurring in that. If I can find the video, I'll see if I can.
But that's an actual deflection again, isn't it? You can't tell me that a ball that returns actually to your hand is a not actual deflection, i.e. apparent, not actually occurring, it's travelling in a straight line. It's returning to your hand. So that's an actual deflection.
But what if on that baseball that was being thrown a curved ball, what if there was a little person on that throwing a ball on the curving baseball? Would that show any Coriolis effect to the little man on the throw
now
ball?
Arwen's deliberately and probably intentionally. Hold on. Shout out to flatearthchannel.com. Good morning, Flat World. Indeed, it is a very good morning. Thank you for the super chat at theflatearthchannel.com. Arwen's now deliberately introduced Coriolis for an actually deflecting ball, haven't you little swine?
I was basically thinking something in the lines of, what if the Earth was actually God's baseball being thrown in a curved ball? How would we perceive that on Earth?
Well, if that was the case, it would be pretty akin to what they describe in the heliocentric corkscrew world of spinning and twirling around that model. So
right. So heliocentrism is basically God's baseball game,
if you like.
Well, let's don't get off my point.
Sorry, Paul. I just want to bring it back on track. So we're talking about Coriolis, and if you're talking about rolling a ball on a roundabout, and it's not going into the second reference frame to cause an apparent deviation, not actual, then you're not describing a Coriolis effect. The Coriolis effect is facilitated by two reference frames. It's as simple as that. Now, if the Earth spinning has two reference frames and is claimed to be exhibited by bullets and footballs with the Earth rotating underneath, then the Earth rotates underneath, and your flight from Charlotte, North Carolina to Los Angeles would be about an hour and a half, because the Earth's rotating underneath. It isn't, ergo, the Earth is not rotating. So the argument, and this I completely wholeheartedly agree with Quantum Eraser on this point, is the needed components for Coriolis in the first instance. That's the argument. Does Earth have the constituent parts needed for Coriolis effect? A rotating non-inertial reference frame and an inertial reference frame. If you do, then the plane journeys are reduced. They're not, so it's not. The Earth is not spinning.
And then it gets really, really weird, because I want to elaborate a little bit on it, because then the ballers start to claim, but wait, the atmosphere is lockstep with the Earth, so there's no Coriolis effect in that department, but when you shoot at bullets, then it still applies.
Yeah, well, that's double speak.
Argument. I think
go on, Paul. Go on.
I said the argument can be made, though. That's the reason I used the ball in contact with the roundabout. How she rolled it away from her, but by the speed and the angle, it came back to her on the roundabout. Now, I thought to myself as you guys are talking, this could be a potential argument just from that video. But if the roundabout was big enough and I threw the ball and it was moving fast enough, technically I could, and the timing could be perfect, I could throw the ball away from me, and if I made it around back to that point on the other side where I make contact with the ball would fall in a straight line, but for me it would look like the ball made a complete circuit. You understand what I'm saying? Even if you threw the ball. When
it's in the second reference frame, not rolling on the non-inertial reference frame, that's not the same thing. Yes, you can. It could appear that the ball has whipped around and come towards you, but in reality it's travelled in a straight line and you've rotated underneath to catch it on the other side of your throw. Well, that is the essence of Coriolis, the two separate reference frames, causing it to appear like the ball comes back to you. It didn't, it just travelled in a straight line and you rotated to meet it on the other side of its straight trajectory.
Right, but I'm just saying that could be one of the arguments against it at some point, I guess.
Wow.
But,
And
I think too.
Sorry, just a quick shout out to MC Universe. Clown shows, stop munching the crayons and smash the super chat. Well, I appreciate the sentiment, MC Universe. Thank you very much indeed for your super chat. Really appreciate the support.
So does somebody that plays baseball also have to take into the spin of the earth as they play a curveball?
You've done it again, you little swine. You're not getting that past me, no. Right, let's not convolute the issue. We're talking about an apparent deviation due to two separate reference frames. That's it. If you've got that on a spinning ball Earth, then plane journeys must be reduced. That's it. That's the argument. What is the constituent parts of the Coriolis effect? Two reference frames, as detailed, with a very simple GIF. No direction of travel detailed, no equators, no longitude lines, nothing. Just two reference frames. If you've got that, plane journeys would be shorter. They're not, ergo Earth's not spinning. We move on with housekeeping, or did you have something to round out with, Paul?
I was going to mention to Paul, I don't know if you've seen it, but there's a pretty good 1960s documentary, or I guess a little movie or whatever, called Frames of Reference. And they go into a lot of different types of frames of references and stuff. It's pretty awesome.
No, if you could drop it in the chat or Skype it to me, that'd be great.
He's at work on his phone. Maybe after.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I found it on Yude's channel. It was pretty good.
Nathan, I like to round off this point if I may.
Go ahead, 10th man.
So they say bullets because they're free flying. Then we know bullets are a lot faster than a football being kicked by a football kicker. And they say that proves the earth is spinning. But then they did something a long time ago, which we're not sure if it actually got done, but they use it. It's called the Foucault pendulum, the apparatus. How fast was... So when you're looking at a bullet, a football, and an apparatus called the Foucault pendulum, they're stuck. They're saying that there's two reference points, and they can't get out of this argument because we don't observe it.
Yep, the plane journeys would be shorter, or you'd be fighting Earth turn. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Yes! There's new evidence coming.
No way.
Yes.
Really?
Did you see the Alex Jones show's Sunday edition yesterday?
Did I
Because
bollocks?
Alex had procured new, more detailed globe CGI to explain how the earthquake was influenced by the molten iron core and how that could all result in the entire Earth exploding, of course. But did you see?
Did you say
it?
could be?
Did anybody see that?
Could be?
I didn't record it.
Did you say just could be?
No, it was just more elaborate. Yeah, it's just like, oh, it could be, the National Yellowstone Park, boom, and everything goes to shit. And it's been a while coming now, so we're gonna blow up any second now because we're supposed to, according to how the world works.
According to somebody on Alex Jones, geysers in Yellowstone prove molten iron core. Is that what you're saying?
In a very, very convoluted way, yes.
That's garbage. I was really disappointed with that.
Yes, it is.
Very disappointed, Arwen. You got my hopes up
so
high.
But I was really impressed by the CGI he showed to prove the layers. Like there were even like little numbers there, like, oh, this is the thickness of the Earth crust. This is the thickness of the core. It's like, it was hilarious.
Did they have a unicorn fart layer?
I didn't check.
They could have a unicorn fart layer. I could just change one of their numbers and put it in the glossary. Unicorn fart layer. 12 kilometers thick. Prove me wrong.
but at least if you want to see a really cool or hot looking representation of the molten iron core as it is presupposed to be in the spherical Earth, then definitely watch yesterday's InfoWars, because it was a giant piece just on that, because of the Californian earthquakes and everything, of course.
Gotta get the
But they
fear
brought
porn
out
in.
the CGI for that.
Can't stop the fear porn. We are joined by Ping Pong Rob in the Discord server, so if you want to join in and answer any housekeeping questions from the Discord server, feel free. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No,
None whatsoever.
What about the R value? Any evidence of Earth radius?
Oh, by the way, talking about distance to the sun, did you hear my discussion yesterday on Jose's, Nathan?
I didn't, but I've got something.
Guy.
You've just reminded me of something that you pointed out about your model and your disagreement with non-locality, but we'll get into that after. Go ahead, Arwin. What was on Jose's about the sun's distance?
Well, I got in on Jose's on a one-on-one with the submarine guy. I always forget his name, and he basically pulled it all out again. Everything that we've talked about like 2 years ago about the presupposition of where the heavenly bodies would be in relation to the assumption
We're
of what the
talking
Earth
about
shape would be, and
Dean.
all that. Put it all out there. It was really good, I thought. And yeah, I just was wondering if you'd seen that.
I didn't. I did see a message from Quantum Eraser in the Happy New Year Discord feed at Jose, specifically about Dean. So it says, at Jose Retard. So, the, quote, toe-tagged, dumb fuck Stingray Dawn is attempting to construct a flat earth, open brackets, reification fallacy model. Can you have that window licker show me a, quote, in capitals, globe earth model reification fallacy, end quote, por favor. There you go.
I don't think that
Q's
related
takeaway.
directly to my conversation at the time, but anyway, it was good to go over the whole heavenly arguments and be more prepared this time, because it's still a tough subject. Like how did they interpret the heavens in order for the Earth to be presupposed as a globe? How does that really work? How do the calculations push to that? And I thought it was an interesting discussion. So
Good stuff. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Just presuppose it. Just presuppose.
Wait for a Musagag from 10th Man.
no, I was going to do it, but I thought Arvin was going to go back to the other subjects. I was going to wait.
All right. Well, I just happened to have a very long 20 minutes, I think, on my channel. Somebody called in, or I called them on Skype, and we did talk actually about gravity and Cavendish and all the issues with that. Was also interesting. And conclusion, no, definitely no scientific evidence of gravity.
Equilibrium. Equilibrium and disequilibrium. That's what they're trying to describe.
Speaking of equilibrium, any evidence that you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container for all the fundamentalist religious zealots who believe the sky is a vacuum known as outer space?
I thought for a second there you were going to say any evidence of gas pressure.
No, I'm not Spurs.
Nope, not at all.
I mean, that kind of concludes to the housekeeping. Other than R value, didn't really get anything other than Arwin going, no. Any evidence of the R value?
No evidence of R value. I was just going to make a comment about the gas pressure thing, but I can come back to that after we get done with housekeeping.
Well, I've only got something to ask Arwin about non-locality, but you go ahead. I'd rather you talked about gas pressure, to be perfectly honest.
I was actually going to address that issue. I posted in, I think in the Skype chat or the Master B about the collapsed lung. I think a person having a collapsed lung would be experiencing pressure or the lack of in their own lung. So just as a side note.
Right.
Fair enough. Good point. Yeah, I think that would be agony.
It is. I've had a friend in my youth who, at one point in my presence, that suffered a collapsed lung when they fell out of a tree, and they were like sweating with agony for hours.
Have you ever seen the movie called Three Kings? About Saddam Hussein and a load of gold? Anybody?
Yeah, I've seen that.
In that film, he gets shot in the chest and experiences a collapsed lung as a result of it. And the animation that they use for the bullet travelling through his cavity, his chest cavity, and then his lung collapsing is just, it gives me goosebumps just remembering it. Absolutely astonishing. He's there on the floor with all these people walking past, and then a medic eventually comes, examines him while he's in absolute agony with a collapsed lung. As you say, the air pressure forcing it to stay closed. And eventually releases the air inside his chest cavity with this little pin that he puts through just to equalise the pressure. And then he continues, and every so often he has to release the valve, like the pressure inside the lung, the cavity of his chest, with this little valve on this stalk that has got stuck inside him. And of course he gets captured and he can't release the valve, and he's struggling as his chest starts to collapse, his lung starts to collapse again, and he can't reach the valve. Anyway, just an interesting memory of just an awesome I don't know how anatomically correct it was, but it was absolutely amazing. I do remember it being visually superb in terms of showing you what actually happened to cause a collapsed lung in like bullet time, like in the Matrix. It was really cool.
Right, and now we only have these days we have, of course, the Mortal Kombat game.
Is Ute in the chat? Is that good timing? Yes, he is. Good times for all. Thumbs up. Okay, so Ute pointed out to me that you were kind of arguing against non-locality, and Ute highlighted the fact that that scientifically valid principle would actually aid your looping model. Had you not considered that?
Yes, I have. Although not fully consciously so.
Well, now you have. Thanks to Ute. Shout out to Ute.
I want to address one other thing with spurs, so that just in case it ever comes up again about the temperature and pressure thing. I was stationed at Loring, Maine in the dead of winter, and I've seen temperatures as low as 40 below zero up there. And I'm inside in shorts inside the dorm. But when I walk outside, I have to have a full parka on, so it's pure temperature thing. I never noticed a pressure change from inside the building and outside the building, even though there's extreme temperature variation, like it could be 70 degrees inside the building and negative 40 outside the building. And as an instantaneous pressure change because I'm walking, or temperature change because I'm walking from inside the building to outside the building. I never noticed that when I was there. I never noticed any kind of pressure change.
Indeed. You're preaching to the converted ear, though. You're not going to get much. Did you have something to add, Ping Pong Rob?
Paul, I dropped that video in Skype.
There must be pressure change. There has to be. Even if it's slight, there must be. Because when we were at school, we were taught that if you elevate the temperature, you elevate the pressure automatically. If you lower the temperature, you lower the pressure.
Yeah, you're right. They are intrinsically linked. However, I think the point that Paul's making is that while spurs would imply that it's only temperature change, you can definitely experience pressure change. But Paul's saying even in extreme temperature differentials, you don't necessarily experience a vast pressure differential physiologically.
What happens if you go 30, 40 kilometres up in the air? How cold does it get?
Yeah, very. They are, as I say, you're right. They're intrinsically linked. I don't disagree. Hey, Righteous Force, can you hear us?
So he's got a point. He does have a point. The only thing is that the difference might be so slight that it's negligible.
Indeed. Yeah, I had this exact discussion, I think it was on Ballbusters a couple of weeks ago with Adam. He made a point, and I had to correct him and say, yeah, there is going to be a certain amount of pressure change when you've got that temperature differential, but it's negligible. And he concisely summarised it, included the fact that they are, as John puts it, attached at the lips. and then made his disclaimers and then made his point, which is to say that in that particular scenario, which I can't remember, there wasn't a great deal of difference, even though there's a vast temperature change. But yeah, you're right, they are intrinsically linked, and I think most of us would not deny that, with the exception of Spurs.
Yeah, and I agree that there's a pressure differential, but it is the experience of that pressure change is what I'm driving at. So exactly.
If you were to believe Spurs, he was stating that you can have a convertible airliner and be okay at those heights.
Yeah, you would just need a heater.
Yeah, he says the window could be open. There'll be no difference.
Good morning.
Morning, Brenda.
What are you morons on about now?
Why did you start with an ad hom, Brenda? What gives?
Because I don't respect you. Because you're a liar. So
wow, that's a good
what
start.
nonsense are you? What nonsense are you spreading about?
Feelings mutual,
pressure?
Brenda.
Then leave, Brenda. If you don't like it, don't respect it.
You'll never find out because you're not asking.
I'm
What
offended,
nonsense?
Brenda.
Yeah, that's too bad. What nonsense about pressure, right, are you spreading now? Can you have pressure?
Funny when somebody like you
need a
speaks about
container,
nonsense
right?
when you say things like shoe is a phenomenon, and then you have the gall to come in here and tell us we're
you
morons.
didn't listen.
No, it's not even that.
Ridiculous.
She's presupposing that we're talking nonsense when she doesn't actually know what
I
we're
already
talking
know
about.
that. Yes, I am presupposing it because you people
Yeah,
are
because you
incapable
don't know
of
what we're
understanding
talking about.
Basic science. You're incapable of understanding even elementary science.
Have you got anything to offer here, Brenda?
Yeah. Can you have pressure outside of a container?
Yeah.
All I heard was eh.
Yes, you can have pressure outside of a container. Yes.
You can have pressure outside of a container.
Yes.
That's a complete reversal from what you've said in the past.
Oh, really? So you've got a container with oxygen ready to go underwater for a scuba diver. There's still 15 psi pressure outside of that container. You are fundamentally retarded if you think that's not my position. You're just stupid, or you're trying to strawman us, one or the other.
So all that stuff with Big Blue telling you about how you can have gas pressure without a container was just nonsense. You didn't believe any of that.
Sorry, that's not what you asked. You
I
said,
don't
can you
even
have
know
gas
what you're
pressure?
saying, Brenda.
That's not what you asked. You asked if you can have gas pressure
Not without.
outside of a container.
Yeah, that's what I
Well,
mean.
yeah, you can. Yeah, that's blatantly bloody obvious. That's not what we're arguing. When he's got a container, something to press upon, a great big long tube with a gas pressure gradient demonstrated, which is something apparently you guys don't think is possible, in a container.
What? A gas pressure?
Try again, Brenda.
Gas pressure gradient. For some reason, a lot of you fundamentalist zealots leave comments that that's not possible in a container.
That's correct.
Oh, really? So what did blue balls demonstrate, you stupid fundy?
Do you know why?
Excuse me, what did blue balls demonstrate if not a gas pressure gradient?
He didn't demonstrate a gas pressure gradient.
Oh, he didn't. So he didn't have a more dense gas on the bottom and a less gas. He didn't. I'm talking. So he didn't have a less dense gas at the top and a more dense gas at the bottom. Then, Brenda.
What are you talking about? The density of the gas in the tube. That's what he was measuring.
Sorry, he had a more dense gas at the bottom and a less dense gas at the top, didn't he? Butane's more dense.
No, dense. Yeah, he put butane into a tube, an open tube, right?
Right. So above the butane, yeah. What's above it? Is it normal air, less dense?
Was that inside the tube?
Yeah, before he put any butane in, yeah. So he's got a density gradient then, hasn't he, Brenda? More dense gas at the bottom, less dense gas... I can never say it. Less dense gas at the top.
Was he measuring the density of the air?
Sorry, you stupid bitch. What part of this aren't you getting? You've just declared it's not possible to have a density gradient in a container. Hillbilly Blue Balls has demonstrated it, and you're just stuttering and stammering around this. Yes, he's demonstrated that it is possible to have a gradient in a container. Well done, Hillbilly Blue Balls, for debunking a whole load of fundy zealots who thought that wasn't possible. Yeah, even Brenda right now doesn't seem to comprehend it, and is talking all over me while I point out that she can't seem to comprehend. That's precisely what he demonstrated. Gas pressure gradient in a container. Shout out to Del West Watson. I think Brenda is dense. I also think Brenda is dense, Del West Watson. Thank you for the super chat.
The air outside of the tube is not inside of the tube.
Oh, really? So what you're saying is the moment he started putting butane in, there was an immediate evacuation of all gas and only butane. It didn't gradually fill. The second one molecule of butane went in, there was no other gas in there. You're a stupid idiot.
He filled the tube with butane.
Oh, and filled, so that was a process of evacuating out a less dense gas. So at one point there was one molecule of butane in there, and the rest was all a less dense gas above it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he absolutely demonstrated a gas pressure gradient in a container then, you stupid fundy.
No, the air...
Yeah, the air being less dense was above it. So he demonstrated a gas pressure gradient in a container. Didn't. Something with walls, something that you can get pressure from to press upon. So he's got a container, nice long pipe, and he's got a gas pressure gradient inside it. Walls. Butane at the bottom, air at the top. So well done, Hillbilly Buballs, for absolutely smashing fundamentalist zealots like Brenda, who in this exact instance has said that you can't have a gas pressure gradient in a container, even though that's the very example she brought up.
No, it wasn't inside of the container.
Oh, really? So what was the PSI value of? Per square inch of what?
The butane.
If the butane has got a square inch, it's expanding in all directions, it's a gas. It doesn't have an inch value. Yes. It's randomly expanding in all directions. The I in his PSI was the walls of the container, the pipe.
The pipe is open at the top.
Yeah, it's still a container. It's like saying it's like saying a tire with a slow puncture is no longer a container because it's got a slow puncture. Yeah, there are means of the gas escaping through a very, very, very limited surface area, a little tiny hole, like in a tire. But that doesn't immediately stop the tire from being a container. It's just got a hole in it.
The butane didn't escape from the tube.
Yeah, over time it would. Entropy would take hold.
No, it didn't. It didn't.
Really? So he did it indefinitely. It's still running then. We can see this apparatus set up today, still full of butane, can we?
He went back 3 hours later.
3 hours later? I just asked if we can still see it now.
So you're moving the goalpost?
Did I say, can we still see it now? Still holding butane, defying the second... I'm still talking. Yeah? What is it with these fundies where they don't like me pointing out that slowing down the effects of entropy doesn't mean you've overcome a natural law? And I'm asking if his apparatus is still available for us to see with the butane in the bottom of the pipe, not going anywhere. Is that a possibility that we can see that today?
If it was still together, the butane would still be in that container. Yes.
Excellent. Glad you've claimed that. We'll make a note of it. I'd like to see that.
Why don't you do the test and see?
I'd like to see that claim being verified, please, Brenda. That's your challenge.
No, you do it.
No, I'm not making the claim. It's your claim, you stupid fundy zealot. Don't ask me to back your claim. You claim if it was still set up today, the butane would still be in the pipe. Well, I want you to show that. Yeah, not just random baseless assertions. Brenda, I'm talking. Right, not random baseless assertions, but you backing your claim, which is if the apparatus was still set up today, it would still have butane in it. I say no. Entropy is a law. It would eventually disperse due to entropy.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've got a natural law on my side. You've got a baseless assertion. So let's see if you can demonstrate your best baseless assertion. See if it defeats the natural law I'm using on my side of this argument, Brenda. Good luck.
So why doesn't
I'm not interested in your questions. That's your challenge. Moving on, you've been smashed. Until you bring a demonstration of Hillbilly Blue Balls maintaining gas pressure in his little pipe with a hole in it and entropy not taking effect. I'm not interested in any questions from you. Your challenge is to go and get a demonstration now. So off you go to Hillbilly Blue Balls or do it yourself and back your claim.
No.
It's your claim.
No, hand dismissal. It's not my claim, you stupid bitch. What part of your claim don't you understand? You claim it would still be in the pipe. I've asked you to show us it in the pipe, and now you're saying it's my claim? No, it's a law of nature, not a claim. Entropy is a law. Your claim is the butane in the pipe would overcome entropy and still be there.
No, you don't understand entropy at all.
Yeah, the gas would fill the space. Yeah, that's what I understand. That's a law. You think I don't understand? You think your defiance of this law is going to be tolerated without an actual example of it? No, sorry.
Yeah, you haven't the slightest clue. Why doesn't the...
hand wave dismissal and question time. Yeah, I'm not going to take your ad hom and question time. No. Yeah, you're going to go off and get a demonstration to back your absolute baseless assertion
whenever
or not?
you feel like it. How is that fair, Nathan?
What, that you back your fundamentalist zealot claim that you can overcome entropy, a natural law? Yeah, that's totally unreasonable. I should just accept your baseless assertion, shouldn't I?
No.
Who on the panel thinks we should just all accept Brenda's baseless assertion that flies in the face of a natural law?
Yeah, I'm totally agree. I'm on board with that.
Okay,
no.
well, there's another fundy on the panel to back
But
your
you
claim.
talk over me.
Off you go then, Arwin. Go and back up Brenda's claim that entropy wouldn't take effect in Hillbilly Blue Balls gas pressure gradient demonstration.
And wasn't the name of that video gas pressure without a container?
Yeah.
And I remember seeing 2 containers in that.
Yeah, it's without a container.
Yeah. Yeah, Brenda.
What was the thing the butane was brought in? What was that then?
A tube.
No, the thing... Listen, try to pay attention. What was it bought in?
Oh, it was bought in a...
container?
I don't know what it's bought in.
A container? It wasn't bought in a bloody wheelbarrow, was it?
Uh-huh.
Right, so it was bought in a container.
Yeah.
Right, and then he transferred it through a pipe into a container with a hole in it.
Is that really a container?
Yeah, it's got a per inch value for gas to press upon. Walls, in essence. Yeah, that's definitely a container. It's just got a hole in it. Like a tyre with a slow puncher?
No, but he showed a video of you claiming that...
I couldn't give a shit what he showed. This is absolutely irrelevant to the argument. It makes absolutely sod all difference what I said. He's claiming he's got no container. That's nonsense. The container is the pipe. It's got a PSI value. Simple.
Is this the video from a few months ago where he had that pressure, that pipe running up the side of his house?
Yeah,
is that
pipe.
That one?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Brenda doesn't think the pipe's a container.
No, you don't think it's a container.
Yeah, it's a container.
Because
sorry, Brenda's just claimed that I think it's not a container.
And the gas butane are 2 different densities.
Hold on.
It acts as a cap on the top of the pipe.
No, it doesn't.
I've got
yes,
the
it does.
definition of a container on screen.
The butane will sit at the bottom of that pipe. It will release over time.
The
but
butane filled the container.
Go on, Paul.
Oh, so it is a container.
Yeah.
Hey, Brenda?
I just got the definition of a container on screen. I just want to see if they would agree with that definition.
Container.
You want to read it, Paul, for the people, for the benefit of the people in Discord?
It's a coffee cup, a container.
Okay.
Yes, a coffee cup is a container. Shut up.
An object that can be used to hold
Paul, she's not going to let you.
Something.
Hold on a second, Paul. What's your problem, Brenda? He's reading out a definition of container. You've asked if a coffee cup's a container. Yes, it is. Go ahead, Paul.
An object that can be used to hold or transport something. A microwave glass container is considered a container. A large box or a standard design, a size used for transportation of goods by road, rail, sea, or air. So anything that can transport or hold something would be considered a container. So yes, my coffee cup would be considered a container.
So would a pipe.
Yes, but that's not the question.
Oh, the question is, how can you have gas pressure without a container? And you've come along and told us that he demonstrated gas pressure without a container. Now we've established, as I declared initially, that he has got a container. He transfers it from one container into another container with a hole in it. So there is not a demonstration of gas pressure without a container. But what he does do is absolutely verify the blatantly obvious that you can have a gas pressure gradient in a container, the necessary antecedent to have gas pressure in the first instance. So yes, he demonstrated gas pressure gradients in a container. That's what he demonstrated. He didn't debunk me. He didn't answer my question. He didn't show gas pressure without a container. He just confirmed that a gradient's possible. We all knew.
He did. He was debunking you. He was debunking
He actually
you
debunked
and your
himself
claim,
twice.
which he showed in the video. You claiming that an aquarium without a lid on it is not a container. You claimed that that was not a container.
Oh, that's contextualized, Brenda. So if you've got a gas, something that can expand in all directions, then you'd need to contain it in all directions. Otherwise, the molecules will bounce off a bit of the wall of the container, and then when they go to bounce off the top, they'll just escape. So no, for a gas, something that can expand in all directions, no, a fish tank wouldn't be a very satisfactory container. Unless it was an extremely heavy gas, and you created an artificial gradient by having it at the bottom, like with sulfur hexafluoride, or butane. So if you
fill the fish tank at the bottom with butane, it would still be a container, but it just wouldn't be held very well. It would dissipate eventually over time.
Right.
But the butane would sit at the bottom. The density differences, the air and the atmosphere at the top of the fish tank and the butane coming in at the bottom are two different masses, and they would dissipate over time. But essentially, it's a container. That pipe,
it's not a container.
Even though there was no lid on the top of that pipe, the gas is still sitting in that pipe, and the two different densities, it's acting like a lid, and it is a pressure. It's a container. I don't understand. Even I'm not an expert in all this, but it even makes total sense to me. I don't understand how you can't understand that.
What do you mean it acts like a lid? That violates the second law.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it
doesn't.
does. It violates
it's still going to escape over time, but it's holding it in there. That's why you've got the pressure.
It doesn't. The point is, it doesn't escape over time.
It does. We've asked you to demonstrate that, Brenda. So I asked if Hillbilly Blue Balls... Oh, of course, I've started talking, so Brenda's got to demonstrate that the fundy mute button of the globe heads is definitely in effect when I talk, isn't it, Brenda? Yeah. So as I asked earlier, you've made a claim that it wouldn't dissipate, defiance of the second law of thermodynamics, and I say it will because that's a natural law. And when I ask you to prove your claim that's in the face of a natural law, you say you can't and start asking me questions and claiming it's my claim. Yeah? Well, no, Brenda, until you show us that entropy won't take a hold, which is irrelevant because the question is, let's see gas pressure without a container, not demonstrate that you can have a gas pressure gradient, which is useful for the fundies who thought you couldn't have one in a container, but ultimately is not debunking anything, because the question on the table is, how do you have gas pressure without a container? And during Mind Warp's explanation, you said it's not a container. It is.
I would
Nathan,
say
this would be a lot easier.
Would be it is a leaky container. It's a container that has a type of lid from the pressure densities that is leaking. That would be a better description.
This would be a lot easier,
So
Nathan.
it's
if
being
you
held in there, but it's
over-talking and
escaping
muting.
gradually.
She's just going to talk
that
all over
pressure
you.
is gonna
I'm sorry, Mind Warp.
that
She's just going to
pressure is-
interrupt every word you say so that your point won't be heard. But Fundy
Oh,
Globe
you're
heads mute
over-talking
button.
me, Nathan.
Yeah, you're talking all over Mind Warped.
Brenda, you're getting worse than Rumpus.
I'm not
the
at all.
pipe-
You've
There she
done
goes again.
nothing but constantly over-talk me,
goes.
Nathan.
Yeah, now she's going to
I
start
have-
talking
The
about
other
over-talking.
thing
Let's
as
shut her
well
up.
that you guys are forgetting is that butane gas isn't just butane gas. There's other additives added in there, so it has a smell, because butane itself doesn't actually smell and can't be detected. So there's other things in there that are making it heavier as well. So it sits at the bottom of that pipe, and it's sitting in there, and the two different gas pressures at the top of that pipe, if the top is the atmosphere, inside the pipe is the heavier butane gas. It's sitting in there. Essentially, you could say it's a leaky container that is slowly, the pressure will drop over time. So yeah, it's a container. I don't know how else to explain it to make it make sense to you. It's a container. Say if you came back in an hour or two, the pressure would have dropped because the gas is going to escape. But
it doesn't.
Yeah,
it doesn't, though.
Yeah, can you show us that? How many times? How many times? Can you show us that?
Yeah, it's in the video.
No, it's not. He does a demonstration, then 3 hours, according to you, is all he leaves it for.
It's in his video. Yes.
That's 3 hours is all he leaves it for. Are you going to hand wave dismiss this or just make the same claim, totally ignoring me?
Well, Nathan, you keep over talking me.
Yeah, it's in the container for 3 hours, according to you.
The truth is
yeah,
that you
so it's just going to be a claim that I'm over talking her while she ignores me. I'll say it for a third time. Let's see if she hand wave dismisses it or pretends that I'm over talking her rather than addressing it. So you said 3 hours is how long he leaves that apparatus. I asked earlier if there was a demonstration of it still operational with the gas in today.
That's moving the goalposts.
No. If you're saying it would still be in the container, that's your fucking claim. So show us it's still being in the container, your claim.
That's a fallacy. That's a fallacy.
Oh, you stupid bitch. I'm tired of this. You made a claim it would still be in the container. That's your positive claim. I say show it it's still being in the container, and you say you're moving the goalpost. No, I'm saying back your claim.
No, you claimed that. You asserted.
Oh, here we go. Now she's going to tell us that I've claimed it. Now it's my claim. No. The second law of thermodynamics is a law of nature. The gas has got gaps in between it, even though there's a density gradient. It can still fit between the less dense gas. Over time, the interaction between the molecules will cause the butane to disperse. The fact that it's in a very long pipe will slow down the effects because there's only a very small hole for the two different gases to interact and for the butane to escape. So it will prolong the period that it takes to dissipate into the natural air around it because there's only a small hole. It can hit the wall of the container and then occasionally it'll hit the hole. Even with a density gradient, it just slows down the effect. That is, in essence, entropy. Now, that's a law of nature, not a bullshit claim. Your claim is that it would still be in the pipe. So when I say, show me it still being in the pipe, you say, I'm using fallacy, it's a straw man, it's moving the goalpost. No, I'm asking you, well, of course you rumpus me at the conclusion, to back your baseless assertion that it would still be in the pipe.
Nathan, if you want me to continue to contribute to your live stream, you need to allow for back and forth, and you have not allowed me to.
Get out. Single sentence. Get out. I don't want you to continue. Piss off, stupid bitch.
And that's why
I can't understand how she doesn't understand that the pressure gradient doesn't act as a lid. I mean, it's a container. How can you not understand that?
I like the example with the tire.
I thought I'd join in.
The tire is the best example. I mean, and then you fill a tire.
But
it's a container.
Then to apply it as a fish tank. It's like, okay, I mean, if you had two gases in a fish tank, the breeze that comes through, like, it's just going to blow, both gases out straight away. But a pipe, because the butane is so heavy, it's going to sit in there for longer than 3 hours. If they want to demonstrate this properly, it needs to be done over at least 24 hours.
Well, make the pipe 6 foot in diameter and 3 foot tall.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
It's
Hey Nathan, can you share my screen when you get the chance?
So skinny.
Sure. Go on, Mindwarped.
I was just saying that pipe is so skinny, and because butane is such a dense, heavy gas, it's essentially capped and stuck in there. And it, like you said, you explained it perfectly, Nathan. It will dissipate over time. Matter in essence isn't solid. Like, it's going to slowly escape, and when the breeze blows over the top of that pipe, it's going to accelerate that, but it's still going to be stuck in there for more than 3 hours, and there's going to be pressure. Not much of a change over 3 hours. So I don't know. If he had done that in a, say, 125 millimeter round pipe, it would be completely different. But it wasn't. It was like a 25 mil pipe. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense, exactly. And John summarised it. Make the pipe 6 foot long instead of however long it was, massive, and make it, I don't know, a couple of inch diameter. See what happens then.
Not only that, but PVC pipe left under the sun dries up, gets brittle, and cracks. So entropy is totally taking place. Either way, it's going to escape.
I just want to make my example because I just think it's the best example. You've got a tyre, you fill it with air, it's obviously holding 30 psi, and then you get a nail in the tyre, and it's got a small gap for the particles of gas to escape. Now that doesn't mean that it's no longer a container, it just means that part of the container has got a route out for the particles. So the particle hits the rim, then it hits the tyre, then it hits the rim, then it hits the tyre. Now most of them are doing that all day, every day. But every so often, one particle will hit the hole instead of the rubber or the metal. And when it does so, it escapes. Entropy. It's just going to hit that hole less often than if it was a massive inch-wide tear. In which case, there's so big of a hole that your gas is much more likely to hit the hole. Well, hole is a hole if it's tiny hole or massive hole. It just slows down the effect. In other words, you can't have lots and lots of particles all hitting a tiny hole at once. Most of them will hit the walls of the container. So in the same instance as the tyre, the pipe has got plenty of surface area, plenty of per inches squared for you to press upon. But occasionally, it'll hit the top. And because it's more dense, that exacerbates the effect. But it still has gaps between all of those gases, and entropy over a prolonged period will take effect. It's a law of nature. You're presented, John.
Yeah, I've been sitting on this for a few months, and then you guys go in and try to steal all the thunder. So it's time. So Hillbilly Blue Balls, the redneck retard. Hey, McFly. The jig was up when you showed up debunking gas pressure without a container by revealing a closed container of butane. This, right? I mean, you got to be some type of stupid. For goodness sake, sir. So, you know what? This is tantamount to debunking the existence of dogs by presenting on location from the best in show Blue Tick Coonhound Kennel. You're an abject moron. That's it.
Short and sweet. Love it.
And like I said, just make the pipe, 6 foot in diameter and 3 foot tall. Let's see how long that lasts. And remember, entropy is directly proportional to time. Thanks, that's it.
You want to present something, Paul?
Understand that that's not a container.
I don't understand why either. You've said it. It baffles me, and I could hear it in your voice mind walked while you were talking to you. Like, what? How can you not understand this? Well, I think she's just here to be a contrarian. Want to present something, Paul?
Yeah.
Brenda's a professional strawman crafter and a red herring salesman.
A red herring salesman. I like that.
And a strawman crafting hobbyist, He builds strawman all day. He's gotten quite good at it.
Not here.
Well, she's gonna get caught, of course, but she is very proficient at it nowadays. She does it every single chance she gets.
Yeah, I tired of playing Martyrdom as well. If you want me here, all are welcome. If you don't want to be here, sod off. If you're going to just come and constantly misrepresent my position, well, that's your argument that you're making. No, it's not. Oh, well, I claim it would still be there now. Well, let's see that. Oh, you're moving the goalposts. Demanding that I prove my claim. Sod off.
as soon as you have a rebuttal, it comes across as an attack, doesn't it? It's like, oh man, come on, you can't win.
Yeah, you can.
I don't think they understand the difference again between demonstration and explanation. I think she still falls under the explanation issue. And anytime you try to cause her to demonstrate it, she calls foul.
That was one of the best little nuggets that QE's given me. I mean, don't get me wrong, all of the complex arguments that he spent 10 times as long going through and making me understand, that little nugget was the best to date. Don't just accept a claim. Claim. Support. So, baseless assertion. The butane would still be in the pipe. Now let's see you support that claim. Oh, that's moving the goalposts. Oh, right. Yeah, usually on your fundy channels, you make your baseless assertion and lots of little parrots nod along. Nobody asks you to prove your bullshit. They just say, oh, yes, of course. Let's detail this and discuss it in depth. This baseless assertion with no evidence.
Would the butane still be in the butane container if it had a small hole?
I think given enough time, that butane container, the canister itself, would succumb to entropy.
That's exactly right. That's the guy who did this experiment had to have a container with no holes in order to transport the butane.
Even the canister itself, yeah. Let's pretend for the sake of argument that you just left that canister to its own devices, precisely where it was, out in the elements. How long do you think you'd come back in 100 years and go, oh, I'll fill my lighter up with this? No. Entropy would take hold and the gas would eventually disperse from that container. The container itself would eventually disintegrate into the ground. You'd lose the container itself, given enough time.
Yeah, if they really want to prove their point, go put a hole in the butane container. But at the moment you buy it at the store, then bring it to your house, let it sit there a couple of days, and then do your little experiment, as you call it. See if you have any.
Yeah, why do you need the long pipe when you're supposed to be demonstrating gas pressure without a container? Or are you just transferring it from one container to another? Nice that he demonstrated a gas pressure gradient. To be honest, it would have been, he'd have got much more notoriety if it wasn't for the fact that Zachary Zabala, aka Good Times for All, hadn't done it already.
It should be renamed How to Demonstrate Gas Pressure in a Leaky Container.
Yeah, but it's still a container and he's got a gas pressure gradient.
Exactly.
They should just
How to
fall back
demonstrate
to
how
what
gas
we
pressure will
decided.
decrease in a leaky container over time.
Go on now, and you can get the last word before I ask the Nathan Oakley
Right.
audience to stay tuned.
I think they should give up on the pipe dreams and just stick to walking outside.
And with that, I will say, if you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. However, if you're watching this live on Nathan Oakley 1980, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you tuned in, smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum, which you should definitely all join. A massive thank you to all of today's live panel for making this debate possible. I've been Nathan Oakley. Stay tuned if you're watching on the premiering stream, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!